I went to check on my boyfriend, worried he was too sick to even text me back. But what I found shattered my trust and sent my world spinning. Days later, the last person I ever expected showed up at my door, and together we started something that changed my life forever. One crisp autumn day, I sat alone in my small, cozy apartment, sunlight filtering weakly through the windows. The orange and red leaves outside seemed to mock my restlessness as I waited for my boyfriend, Jace, to show up. He hadn't visited in days, claiming he was just tired, but something about his excuses didn't sit right with me. I dialed his number, and after a few rings he picked up. His voice sounded groggy, like he had just woken up. "Sorry I didn't text you earlier," he muttered. "I'm not feeling great. Might have a fever or something." I didn't believe him, but I told myself to trust him. I grabbed a bag of groceries, fresh fruit, tea, and throat lozenges, and headed to his building. The brisk walk made my cheeks tingle, but my mind was focused on Jace. I just wanted to make sure he was okay. It was so long since anything had been this way for me. When I reached his building, I pressed the elevator button, adjusting the heavy bag on my arm. The elevator doors opened, and my heart dropped. Then in front of me was Jace, with his arms around a world, and I was the outsider in their home. We were back to being alone when I was the outsider. "Looks like you're feeling better," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. Jace whipped around, his face draining of colour. "Kate, I can't explain," he stammered, stepping toward me as if that would somehow fix everything. I raised my hand to stop him. "Don't. Just don't. If you take one more step or say one more word, I swear I'll make you regret it." I hurled the bag of groceries at him, the fruit spilling across the floor, then turned and walked away without looking back. My heart was racing with a mix of anger, confusion, and pain. He didn't even try to stop me. He wasn't worth it. Not anymore. Days went by and Jace hadn't reached out, not a single text or apology. It gnawed at me. I couldn't move on. It felt like he was still lurking in my life, like a shadow I couldn't shake. I kept thinking about that moment in the elevator. How could he do that to me? And what about the woman? I needed answers. I needed closure. I decided to text him. My fingers trembled as I typed, filled with frustration. After a few minutes he replied, agreeing to meet at our cafe, the place where we had our first date. I couldn't believe it, after everything he wanted to meet there. Still, I agreed. Maybe I'd get some answers, even if it was just to tell him off. At 6 p.m., I sat at our usual corner booth, the warm smell of coffee and pastries surrounding me, but it brought no comfort. I checked the time constantly, expecting him to walk through the door, but he didn't. At 7 p.m., I was tapping my foot under the table, staring at the untouched tea. By 8 p.m., I was furious. Finally, my phone buzzed. He texted, "I can't come. I can't stand seeing you so sad like this." I was stunned. What did that even mean? He was the one who had cheated, yet he was acting like the victim. My anger boiled over and I felt foolish for even waiting for him. When I got home, I was still fuming, but then, as I turned the corner to my apartment, I froze. Standing outside was her, the woman from the elevator. She was looking nervous, almost like she'd been waiting for me. What was she doing here? "What the hell are you doing here?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the hallway. "I just wanted to talk to you," she said calmly. "I feel like I owe you more than just a conversation." I folded my arms, skeptical but curious. "You're a few hours late," I snapped. "I don't want anything to do with that jerk." You can have him." "That's the thing, I don't want him either," she said, her voice firmer this time. "I finally realized what he's really like, and I wanted to talk to someone who understands." Her words stopped me cold. Maybe she wasn't the villain I had assumed. She wasn't defensive or angry, just honest. After a long pause, I sighed, my frustration still bubbling but fading just a bit. "Fine. Come in," I said, pushing the door open and stepping aside. Her name was Ashley. As we talked over wine, Ashley explained how Jace had painted me as the bad girlfriend. He'd lied to her, saying I ignored him, flirted with other men, and made him feel worthless. But after she saw the truth with her own eyes, she realized how wrong he was. "That's why I'm here," Ashley said, her voice steady. "I don't want him to get away with it." I was surprised. "What are you suggesting?" Ashley's smile was sly, almost mischievous. "Revenge," she said simply. "You know how much of a homophobe Jace is." Her words hit me like a punch. My heart raced with a mix of emotions. Anger, but also a sense of power. What if we could turn the tables on him? And just like that, the plan was born. Ashley and I wasted no time setting it into motion. We created fake profiles for Jace on several dating sites, carefully crafting his interests and uploading pictures we'd saved from his social media. We sent flirtatious messages to men, pretending to be Jace. We even set up meetups at his apartment, choosing times when we knew he'd be home. The thought of him answering the door to strangers made us laugh until our sides hurt. But then we took it a step further. We posted his phone number with the tagline, "Night owl? Call me between 2 and 4 a.m. for some fun." His phone was ringing off the hook, and we knew we were getting under his skin. We loved every minute of it. The final touch was a billboard. We found ad space in the busiest part of town and designed a huge, bright poster featuring Jace's face with the caption, "Looking for a man to cherish and support." When the first billboard went up, we high-fived in the car, imagining his reaction when he saw it. We could already picture him losing his mind. And he didn't disappoint. The texts and calls from Jace were non-stop. "Please stop this," he begged. "I'll do anything. Just stop." We finally agreed to stop, but only after he wired us enough money for a 2-week vacation to Spain. When the money hit our accounts, we blocked him for good. It felt like the weight of the world had been lifted off my shoulders. In Spain, Ashley and I relaxed on the beach, sipping cold sangria and soaking up the sun. "Best team effort ever," Ashley said, grinning. I couldn't help but agree. I had lost a terrible boyfriend, but I had gained a lifelong friend. Revenge never tasted so sweet.